Hello everyone and welcome back to Dicebreaker, where today we are playing the Dishonored RPG. Ooh, we are joined by a very special guest in Alice Bell from Rock Paper Shotgun and a very grumpy Johnny Chiodini because I did a moo noise. Alice, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Are you a big Dishonored fan, would you say?
I am. I've got my most on-brand mug
look at
for
that.
the occasion because I'm thirsty for the outsider.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
And running this RPG is my new catchphrase, the ineffable Alex Mia.
Can't quite remember what ineffable is.
No, me neither. I just like saying it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I've been called worse. I'm running this Dishonored RPG. I'm very excited and all nervous. So, because, this is a big RPG. It's quite impressive what they've managed to do. They've really translated, the feel, the atmosphere, and the mood of the game series, which I rather like. I believe we're all familiar with here. Into a comprehensive RPG book, which is available on PDF right now from Modifius. Who I believe created the Conan the Barbarian RPG, Matt Jarvis. This is true, isn't it?
They did. I don't know why you singled me out. For Didn't
Matt, you're ripped.
Just making sure.
Matt, you're the muscliest, oiliest member of the team. What's your opinion on Conan?
Conan is my life inspiration, as I'm sure is plain to everyone.
Yeah, he does roam around wearing a loincloth and swinging a sword around. It's true. Yes, the physical version of this RPG is coming out in July, but you can, as I said, get the PDF right now, which I'll be using. Yes, the Dishonored series is like a stealth action game series about a selection of islands as part of an empire. It's very much set in the kind of 1800s era of history. So you've got your Britain and your kind of Spanish stuff, and then there's a snowy bit.
Oh yeah, the snowy bit.
Yeah.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah. But the first game in the series is set in a place called Dunwall, which is a pseudo kind of London, but not nice. Probably worse than it was back in the Victorian era. Full of rats and ne'er-do-wells. Although I imagine it was probably then as well. And magic and, technology and such. So we're going to bring that to life. Because I believe Dishonored is steampunk styled.
Whale punk.
Whale punk.
Yeah.
Blubber punk.
Blubber punk. Yeah. There are whales in this world. And
Johnny's favourite animal.
Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, Johnny's probably happy about how they're treated. Spoiler alert, not very nicely. But our group of intrepid explorers / RPGers are here with us as part of a gang doing sort of illegal activities.
That doesn't sound like us.
of their choosing, I'm sure. And they've been given an assignment. But before we get into that, could you all please introduce your characters? Let's start with Mr. Michael Wheels Whelan.
Hello there. I will be playing Barry Oblong. He is a 65-year-old Sokolov fanboy. He's 65 years old.
Okay, this is going to be interesting.
He's a big Sokolov fan. He reads all of the issues of the Weekly Scrapper, which is, of course, Dunwall's premier tinkering magazine. I'm a whale oil huffer, and my archetype is the inventor, which basically means that I'm going to be cramming bits of metal together and hopefully traps will come out the other end.
Yeah.
I'm very good at engineering and explosives, and I have a talent that allows me to basically make the game harder in exchange for me being able to do stuff for free.
That's the most wheels thing I've ever heard.
This is going to be tough. It's been a while, to be honest. It's been a while since I played Dishonored. Sokolov is kind of the Tesla-ish inventor.
Yeah,
right?
Sokolov is a very big bearded man who made, who basically turned whale oil into contraptions and invented all the stuff like the walls of light with all the things that zap people that walk through them. And all
Yeah,
that
I
kind
remember
of
the
stuff.
Zappy Towers.
And
Zappy
like
towers,
all the trains and all that kind of stuff.
So yes, in the world of Dishonored, electricity exists, and it's pretty advanced for the era, and it's powered by whale oil. And Sokolov basically took that concept and was like, how can we make this kill people?
This isn't deadly enough.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character. Okay, Alice Bell, our guest.
Hello.
Please tell us about your character.
So I am playing Temperance Soissage.
Yep.
She is 37 and she is an ex guard. She is from a kind of very upper class family, and was kind of employed as sort of a favour to her parents, but she was very bad at her job because she was insubordinate, because she thinks she's better than everyone. But she is quite a good duelist because Temperance Soissage has a mark of the outsider.
Oh my
She's
goodness.
turned the outsider into an insider.
The call's coming from outside of the house.
Oh, wonderful.
So the reason she's a good duelist is because she cheats. She's
Nice.
never won a duel fairly, and she can use bend time to cheat and win at duels. But she's a very abrasive person, and she's ended up working as a sort of sword for hire for the gangs. She got kicked out of the guard.
Right.
All right.
Yes, for those who might not be familiar with Dishonored, the outsider is like a figure of supernatural lore.
Cheekbones.
And, yeah, he's
Indeed.
good looking.
Yeah.
And he grants certain individuals with the magical abilities, and it seems he has deemed Alice's character worthy of this gift. So we'll see how they decide to use that, and whether he regrets his decision or not. So, Mr. Jarvis, please
Hello.
tell us about your character.
I'm playing Eliza Rostrom, who is also quite well-to-do. She is an author. She is quite well known for her first book, but she's currently researching her second, which is how she has found herself among this gang in the process of researching, and is kind of tagging along, just jotting down notes at the back while they, smuggle or murder or what have you. It's all very true to life. The devil's in the details and so on. So she is a scholar, which means she is more brains than brawn. She has no supernatural abilities other than being good with words.
Turns out we have a real recruitment drive issue. We're just taking anyone we can get.
And lastly, but certainly not least,
My character is called Gris. He is a 52-year-old man, Gris being short for ambergris, because he works in the whaling industry. He works in the production line, he hacks up the whales, he renders them down into oil, he sends the oil off. So he, even when he's not working, you can tell he works in whaling. Like, his jacket is kind of like dark, and when there's so much grease in fabric, it gets that almost sheen, like that. He's got like a big old moustache and mutton chop sideburns to keep the smell out of his nose. And his archetype is miscreant. He's from the School of Hard Knocks. He did his postdoc in the School of Big Knocks. And basically, if something needs fighting or intimidating, he's your man. He doesn't think of himself as a bad person, but he can definitely do bad things.
Yes. Well, it
So-
certainly,
Sorry, no, carry on, man.
it certainly sounds like the character that's actually going to most fit in this scenario.
Yeah.
So, well done, Johnny.
Well,
Hooray.
it seems like the way I've organised this, the setup for the actual video recording itself, we've got the top row, which are the stickers, and then the bottom row are the sticklers. So we should be all good to go.
Oh. And I believe I asked you if you could come up with a name for your gang, and also what you specialise in. No? Would you
Yeah,
like
Johnny,
to come up with one now?
You were the project lead on that one.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we work in protection money. We
Okay.
basically extort small businesses for protection money, and if anyone refuses, they either get their shop smashed up or they get challenged to a duel. And in short order, we've built a reputation for ourselves as like formidable protection agents, which is why, of course, we're called petty cashiers. No, the
The ka-chings.
palm, grease of palm, palmers.
Greece might be, there's something maybe in Greece?
The
No?
Greasy Boys.
Pound Street Pounders.
Pound Street Pounders.
Right.
Could we be like the
pounds.
Pound Street Pounders? It's in.
Pound
It's
Street
the fix
Pounders
is in.
done.
There it is.
Okay. Well, there, the people are aware that there is a street called Bottle Street, which is the origin of the Bottle Street gang, which are quite, they're really quite a big player in the old, ne'er-do-well industry, I guess.
There are all the
but-
conventions.
yeah, they're signing all the autograph. But it seems recently a street now has its own up and coming group of illegal individuals. Pound Street finally has its own gang. You're taking that ownership, even though I suspect none of you were actually born there, came from there, or originated from there. Seeing as seeing as you all seem to be from the well, not all of you, but quite a few seem to be from the upper echelons of society.
Eliza's from 100 Pound Street.
Didn't quite have the same ring,
No.
and also the other gang, leaders gave you a look where they were like, "Who is this?" Essentially Ponce, swaggering around here, acting like,
Side note, something has happened to my face, and now I can't put my left eyebrow down properly. So I'm constantly like... It's really confusing me.
Okay.
interesting
I'm
stuff.
just raising my eyebrows, but it's turning me into...
For this video, Wills will be played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
To be honest, it would be interesting to see how Dwayne The Rock Johnson fits into this world, but, I'm sure people would love to see that. So if you want to do a sudden character change, Will, just let me know, and I'll try and work with you for that. Yes, okay, so the Pound Street gang. No, the
Pounders.
Pound Street Pounders. Forgive me. Yes, so, you, Motley Crew, came together, seemingly from different backgrounds and with different goals, but you've formed into as Johnny said, a formidable team of extortionists, particularly in protection money. But after doing that for a reasonable amount of time, just enough to make a decent name for yourselves, you've decided that the death threats and nightly raids have perhaps maybe been a bit too much trouble for you. You're getting fed up with having to reboard your windows up again in your hideout in Pound Street, where you're all gathered at the moment, preparing to go and meet a client, because you've now moved into the, let's call it, odd jobs / dodgy dealings industry of illegal activities, where it's sort of a vague idea of what you're doing. You know, sometimes you have to make sure the contracts are written out properly, otherwise you're going to end up doing things that you weren't accounted for. But you know there's big money in it, because people don't want to get their hands dirty in Dunwall, particularly the respectable class of civilians. But they are also equally as bloodthirsty and greedy as everyone else, so they'll just hire mugs like you to do it. So you are awaiting to go and meet a man called Adrian Glutter. He is the owner of a whale oil business. So he is in charge of a company that acquire and sell whale oil. And he, you put your name out there, you put it in a few newspapers, gang for hire.
Yeah.
Classifieds.
Next to the Lonely Hearts column.
And in the Lonely Hearts column.
And yeah, well, just because you're a gang doesn't mean you can't, have relationships and
Dirty
such like
deeds
that.
done dirt cheap, eh?
Hey! Yeah, and he's basically sent an urchin messenger to you, being like, I got a good job for you, it pays well. That's the bit that you noticed. Come and meet me at my oil refinery, which is in the docks area of Dunwall. So
Right,
you're
let's do it. Let's go.
You're currently in the Bottle Street gang area, but you guys are at your campsite, your hideout, and you're going to make your way to the refinery.
Before we leave, so I have a contact called Blubber Bill, who is involved in the
Bill.
whale trade. So from previous, writings that I've done, can I search my memory base? Can I search my knowledge, my memory, to see if I know anything of Adrian?
Okay.
And or if there's anything we should be aware of going in, if he has any dangerous connections, if there's any potential for trouble to kick off while we're visiting him.
Okay. Well, so you're remembering what you talked about with Blubber Bill. Okay. Let's say you're going to. So we're going to do a little skill check now.
Mm-hmm.
These are basically. So we're using the D20 system, which Modiphius basically use for most of their RPGs. And it's basically where the player rolls 2d20s and attempts to roll under a target number. That target number will be determined by the character's skills and styles. Mr. Jarvis, Eliza, is attempting to remember what she remembers about what Blubber Bill told her about the whale oil industry. So, Mr. Jarvis, how do you think she's going to do that?
I would say that she would study, so that's my skill, and then maybe carefully, or maybe cleverly.
Okay.
Maybe let's go with cleverly, because I think there's no danger to her at the moment. So I would say maybe study cleverly, but I also have a focus in society, which, if you would permit me to use. Because I feel like it applies to this situation, because I'm thinking of the kind of the whale trade society.
Yeah, I mean, whale trade is a significant part of the society of Donwell. It's what keeps the lights on.
Literally.
Yes, literally. So, I will allow you to do that. So, you're going to roll 2d20s, and your target number is going to be...
Yeah, so I've got a 6 in study and a 5 in cleverly. So,
So
I need to
11.
roll 11 or under on each
Yes, and if you roll 4 or under, you will get a critical because of your focus.
side. Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, okay. Well, I got one success. I rolled a 9 and a 19, so the 9 is under 11. But obviously it's not a crit.
Yes, so I probably should have done this already, but I will provide a difficulty rating usually before the player rolls. But you know what? This is a very relaxed scenario, and I'm going to say the difficulty rating was 1 because you're not in a stressful situation, and you have a very good memory. It's all up here because you don't always get time to write down your notes. There's always stuff going on. Looking for what you remember, so you go inside your mind palace. This vision kind of goes hazy as you like go back in time, and you're sat in a pub with Blubberbill. And he's sat there, he's like bald, and he's wearing a cap, and he smells real bad because he works in the whale industry, and the stink is pretty apparent.
Yeah, you were, Johnny.
It's just a fact of life, it's just natural. And he, having supplied him with a drink, he tells you about the whale oil industry is a very competitive business. There's always new sort of up-and-coming entrepreneurs rising and falling. But you do remember him mentioning the word Adrian, the name Adrian Glatter. And him being like, oh, that Glatter, he's been a steady provider of whale oil and jobs for me and my friends for quite a while.
I can't tell if he's American or a sailor.
Why not both?
Why not both? Yeah. He's been on top for a long time, but there's always new challengers. I know he's always had a rivalry with that Kilcuddy fella. He's always been quite bitter with him, but Kilcuddy never had the same level of business as him. No. He's a bit of a rough man, but don't underestimate his brain. That's what you remember.
Thank you, Mr. Blubber, or can I call you Bill?
Or you can call me whatever you like.
Okay, great. So I know there's...
And it goes back.
I'll relay this to the rest of the gang. So it's was it Kilcuddy is the rival?
Kilcuddy, yeah, is the name you said, yes.
So I relay that it's probably to do with this rivalry, and there's probably a good bit of cash if we maybe push a little bit harder, because this rivalry is clearly a heated one that's been going on for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something that needs cutting up and rendering into oil.
Yeah.
There's no need to be crude.
I shall try and be more refined.
Oh, that was a little joke about crude oil, but so unrefined.
Excellent stuff. that was very, very good, Eliza. Very funny. You should learn from Eliza's very quick.
That joke appeared in my first book, I'll get you all copies. I'll ask my publicist.
Or make sure it's user proper citations.
Can I ask, how are you lot presenting yourselves exactly? You've been living in this hideout. How far down the rabbit hole is Eliza going, for example, with this whole experiment?
Well, it's obviously she spends time among the gang, but I think she's still not willing to acclimatise to it
Okay.
She carries multiple fresh changes of clothes and doesn't walk too close to. Sorry, Johnny, I forgot the name of your character.
Gris.
Gris.
That's it. Thank you. Doesn't walk too close to Gris because he's obviously matted with whale grease.
Oh yeah.
So just kind of almost like a magnet repelled, just stays and stays far enough away from it to not be touched by any.
I said, pretend you've got no money, and she just laughed and said, "Oh, you're so funny." Can't be dealing with them.
And what about Barry and Temperance?
I think. Sorry, you carry on.
Temperance genuinely doesn't have any money anymore, so she's like,
Slumming
but
it.
still acting a bit as if she does. So she's wearing like clothes that were once, they are expensive, but they're also quite old and now patched and a bit grubby. And they're sort of a mishmash of like so she's wearing like guards kind of cream trousers in boots, but like paired with like a kind of weird like cardigan type thing. Like she's a bit of a mishmash.
And Barry?
Barry is like, you've only ever seen him wear one outfit. Usually, like, he's been in his workshop for the entire day, and you like knock on the door with a bit of meat for him or something, and he just sort of crazily eyed looks out at you. He's just got like this greasy kind of like white undershirt that you normally would wear to like bed or something, with like suspenders over it, or belt suspenders, not with sort of like these like oily beige trousers that are sort of like being held out with his belly just kind of hanging over the top of it.
Oh, delicious. Yeah.
Big scraggly grey beard and sort of balding on top.
What a fine bunch we have. Okay.
The
so
Premier
now
gang in all of Pound Street.
So now you've got a better idea of maybe what's facing you. Do you want to head to Glutter Industries oil refinery bank?
Damn right I do.
Sounds like new money to me.
This will make for a fine chapter.
Yes, okay. So you get to the refinery. You know your way around Dunwall by now quite, well enough. You don't really get into any troubles. Just you walk through the streets, try and avoid a few rats, make sure you don't walk too near the pylons and the electric fences. And you reach the refinery, and inside you get to, let me just check my notes. Sorry. Okay. So you come to the front entrance, and there's like two sets of staircases leading up to, the main door, and you can see bustles of activity. The smell has been like increasing in intensity the closer you get to this area.
I've been really just
yeah.
as I'm getting closer.
Gris knows this smell incredibly well. It's the stink of dead whale meat, and like just grease and sweat. You see a lot of very large, muscular men just walking around carrying, canisters of oil, presumably, and boxes and various other things. There's definitely activity going on here.
Eliza will walk up to some of the people carrying around canisters and just hand out small cards with her contact details on.
The workers see you, and they're very confused about why you're even here, two, what you're giving them. And they look at the card and they're like, what? Eliza?
Yes. Send me a letter if you can write, or I don't know, get someone else to write it for you.
You saying I can't write?
No. And she flees and kind of stands behind Gris a little bit and holds her nose even tighter. Stands back far enough from Gris, but puts Gris between herself and these.
Yeah, never actually touches Gris at any point. Yeah.
Most whale oilers are literate and, in fact, quite well educated.
Oh, I'm sure. You're a perfect example of that. Yeah.
In the background, you hear that? You weird woman wandering around. Do you want a cigar?
Even though I'm not happy with Eliza for kicking this off and then hiding behind me, I'm going to go over them and be like, "Leave it, lads. All right, we're here to see Adrian Glatter, and I don't want to make anyone swallow their teeth just so I can get in the meeting room."
Course. Oh, you're here. Oh, you're here to see the boss.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you say so instead of handing me weird cards?
I just did, you idiot.
He generally can't think what to respond to. Yeah. Okay. Follow me. I'll take you to the boss.
Much obliged.
Okay, so he walks up the two stairwells, and you enter in the refinery, and you kind of see in front of you. There's like a dip in the middle of the room. It's like one really long room, and there's a dip in the middle, and there's like staircases leading down there, and like iron railings kind of cornering off that bit. And in the dip, there's just like piles of like guts and like flesh and like just liquids of all kinds. And there's just men like in there shoveling up the remains, and I think you can tell, well, Gris can tell they've just butchered a whale. But yeah, they're just cleaning up afterwards. And the gentleman takes you along the side of one of the railings, and then to it's like the door is open and there's like a glass panel that kind of can overlook over the main floor of the refinery. And then he stops outside the door and gestures into to the door. Says, "Mr. Glatter's in there waiting for you."
Right, you are. And just start sort of like... I just like plunk myself down on a seat as if I've been invited all on my own. Don't actually make eye contact with anyone, just sort of like picking at my nails on the chair like I'm waiting for the thing to be ever. When like you bring your kids to a meeting because you can't get anyone to look after him or something.
As you do that, you hear, "Who the fuck are you?"
Name's Barry.
And Barry, would you like to tell me what you're doing in my office?
Heard you sent for us.
Are you still messing around with your fingers?
Yeah. I've not made eye
You're
contact
not
with him
looking
at any
up
point.
at all.
No.
You hear like the clomp of heavy footsteps, and then like you can see on the floor these two enormous boots, and suddenly like a hand like grabs your arm and says, "Well, Barry, welcome to my refinery."
Right, you are.
I'd like to walk in at this point and be like, "You want to tell your boys to stop throwing away the liver? It's good eating in that. Keeps them hale and healthy."
Well, we've had to, unfortunately, divert that liver to other places at the moment. Mr.
Gris.
Gris! Yes, I remember. You were the one my little boy talked to. And he holds out his hand to the shaking.
Yeah, I put
It's
out a
right for the
toaster-sized
shaking.
hand
Yeah.
to give him a shake. You know
Yeah.
how like the guards in Dishonored are
Yeah.
either stick thin or like beefcakes.
Proportions in
Yeah.
Dishonored are hilarious.
I'm a beefcake's beefcake.
Well, you can see Glutta is most certainly a beefcake. In fact, he's probably 3 beef patties on top of one another. He's a tall man, wearing, like, he's relatively alright put together. Like, he's wearing, like, a blazer, he's got big mutton chops, and, like, he's got a receding hairline. But, like, I mean, the smell is overpowering, but he doesn't smell that bad, considering. Yeah, and he looks you firmly in the eye and says, I could tell you're a man of whaling business.
Cut from the same cloth, you and me.
Yeah, a fine cloth.
Made of whale.
Yeah, my mum used to make clothes out of whale cloth all the time.
Yeah.
It's a great woman, my ma.
Which bit of the whale do you cut to get cloth?
The skin.
Skin.
I point to my elbows, and there are like patches of like leather, basically, but it's whale skin.
He looks around at all of you and says, So, you must be the Pound Street Pounders.
That's what these calls us, sir.
Yeah, that's stuck.
Well, I can't say that I'm not a little bit surprised by what you're, what I must admit, you weren't really what I was expecting. But, hey, all sorts these days. As long as you can do the job, don't really care what you look like. Come on, sit down. And he
That's right,
gestures
progressive of you.
You know what? Everyone's better when we're all more progressive. It's a better society.
I'll take a seat.
Yeah, he gestures to the chairs.
Eliza will. Sorry.
Oh, my feet are on one of the chairs, by the way.
That's fine because Temperance is going to remain standing very upright, like holding her hands behind her back. Almost at attention.
What's
But
job
not quite.
then? What job want doing?
Yeah, Glutta nods at Temperance. It's like, fair enough. And he looks down at you, Barry. Just
Still not making
like-
eye contact.
Yeah. And he says, well, I wanted to keep things a little bit on the hush. Because I know sometimes our messengers don't always get to the locations they're meant to without getting meddled with. So I hope you don't mind the, not being entirely transparent with you until you got here.
Right, you are.
He walks to the he walks to the door and closes it. Just to, keep things a bit more private. And he walks behind his desk and says, as you might tell, I own this refinery, and I own Glutta Industries, one of the best whale oil providers in the entirety of Bristol. My family's been in that for years. I'm just a new generation in gliders. But now, it seems my plans have been somewhat derailed. And I want you lot to figure out exactly what is going on.
So we'd be bailing you out then.
Bailing me out. No. You'll be helping to rebalance the whale oil business in Dunwall, which I'm sure is something that you might care a little bit about, Mr. Chris.
Indeed. That goes down. Any Johnny Foreigner gonna have Dunwall over a barrel.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta keep Dunwall powered. It's all part of one great network, and I've been supplying that network my entire life. Now, that network, at least my part in it, is being disrupted. Tell me, have you ever heard of someone called Lucius Kilcuddy?
Eliza pipes in his hat. Oh yes, I'm acquaintances with Bill Blubber. Bill
Blubber?
Yes.
Oh, that old dog.
You know Bill Blubber?
How the hell do you know Bill Blubber?
As I say, acquaintances. I wouldn't say close friends. I wouldn't say friends at all, really. But we know each other. I've sat within his vicinity.
Oh, well. You
So-
and a lot of other sorry folk as well.
This is most intriguing. This will make a fantastic arc within my book. She draws out a contract. It's like, would you mind signing this? So this is all on the record. No royalties or anything like that will come to you, but of course. But if you'd be happy for me to include this.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh. Very well.
I thought you might have an idea of why I've hired you. Maybe it's because I don't want the word getting out that these things are happening and that I've hired you.
Right,
If you go writing about it in your book, you see where I'm going here.
one of them there corporate espionages, is it?
How about 5% royalties?
No, and he grabs your contract and like crushes it in his big meat hand.
Eliza just backs off a little bit, and I don't think she said that. Are the chairs made of whale by any chance?
No, they're made
Okay.
of wood.
Just think we are.
Okay, she brushes off the cushion or the seat of the chair and sits down. And
Cushion.
it's,
Yeah,
it's
right.
very quiet.
Yeah, you won't get questions there. He says, well, up until a few, let's say, months ago, business was fine. You know, Glutter Industries was rolling along like we always do, lighting up the city, supplying, grabbing whales, getting them oil. However, my shipping crews have suddenly found it rather difficult to acquire our most precious resource, the whales.
What's he talking about?
Well, used to be that we wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't have to go that far from the shores of Dunwall to find a catch, bring it in, fresh whale, new oil. However, past few months, my crews have been finding nothing, or barely anything. That whale carcass you see out there, he points out the glass, one of the last we've had, in fact, first we've had in the last fortnight. We have been struggling to supply our customers, and they've been leaving us. Damn, no good nerdy whales. They've been leaving us for other providers, and that provider just happens to be a Mr. Lucius Kilcuddy. He used to be but a bug at the bottom of my shoe, barely anything. Now he's taking all my customers, and worst of all, they're celebrating his business with a party! I should have been giving parties! Me!
Likes parties, I do. They're nice.
Look, Glutter, I don't want to offend you, but I'm probably about to. Is it possible your captains are on the take? Has he compromised your men?
You've got to realise, my friend, that the entire, most of Glutter's Industries is being run by and operated by my relatives. We're like this. Those men have been working for me for decades. They wouldn't take a cut from Kilcuddy. He didn't used to have any cut to give. He had nothing. Barely an industry. Barely a business. Basically just a lemon store on the side of the road. Now, he's being recognised by all the bigwigs.
Ooh.
Now, he's getting the recognition I deserve.
But I'm sorry. Maybe I just don't understand the whaling industry. Although there's not many things I don't understand, so that seems unlikely. But don't you all fish in the same sea? I mean, isn't it possible that they're just getting to the whales before you? I don't see how someone can stop you finding whales or divert the whales away from your ships. I mean, it's not like you can put walls up under the sea or anything, is it?
You can't bribe a Leviathan.
No, I tried.
Exactly.
Can't be done.
He puts his hand on the desk and leans forward towards you, Temperament. And he says, like I said, before Kilcuddy had nothing. Barely a rowboat. How could he suddenly be able to control where the whales are going? Whether we're getting them? Bribing my crew? He had nothing. Now, he's rolling in it. And it's not just me. The other whale providers, who we used to work in harmony with, are also on the risk of being shut down. 'Cause of Kilcuddy, he's taking all of the business. It can't just be a coincidence that suddenly we're struggling to find whales and Kilcuddy is living it up. That's why I've hired you. You are going to go and find out what that slimy worm is exactly doing. Because he must be doing something. I refuse to believe that this is suddenly a coincidence.
Right, you are.
So, he's looking very confused at you, particularly Mary. So, you're going to go to this here party I've mentioned, held in the honour of Kilcuddy by one of his investors, Lady Harpaeus Coldwin, some hoity-toity noble who used to sometimes buy supplies from me. Now, she's getting all her oil from Kilcuddy and a nice bit of money too, it seems. Now,
Eliza's. Oh, sorry. I was going to
No,
say
go on.
Eliza's jotting down in a notebook. It's just like yes, right,
Yeah.
and then just goes. And how much would you say Kilcuddy's annual revenue before taxes? You know, just ballpark figure.
Glad leans down, like squints at the book you've got, and he says, "Exactly what are you writing down there?"
Just notes, just for the old memory, really.
I thought I
nothing that would
told
make
you.
it to publication.
Not to write this down, or at least anywhere that's going to be published. How many times do I have to say that to you?
Oh, this won't be published. You know, you can always use pseudonyms. You know,
Flutter turns to Gris and points at Eliza and says, "Can you please sort out your co-workers? Do you want this job or not?"
We do, and I'll keep them in line. But
co-workers.
one last question. If this all goes tits up, hopefully it won't, and it's knives out, what's the guidance? Do you want us to kill Cuddy?
Well, essentially, the situation is, this party here, it's for the highfalutin types. It's all like
Yeah.
that, and he points towards Eliza.
Yeah.
You are there to find information about how Kilcuddy's doing this. Kilcuddy is going to be there, as far as my informants have told me. But I'm very suspicious about this relationship he has with this Lady Harpaeus Coldwin. He used to be like the maggots, you hear me? He used to be nothing.
Yeah.
Now he's swanning it around with this noble woman. I want to know maybe how much she knows. I think maybe confronting Kilcuddy, especially telling him what's going on here, might not be the best idea.
Right. Softly. Got it.
Yeah, I don't want you to kill him. I want you to find out what he's doing.
Right, you are.
All right.
When you say Coldwin, is that as in the Coldwins, as in Empress Coldwin? Are you sending us in corporate espionage against members of the royal family?
As far as I know,
Because that would complicate matters a little bit, you know?
well, firstly, I don't want you to kill nobody really important.
As for the best, we've got proper taxes on regicide. We have.
Yes. Some, you know, you do it how you do it, but ideally, I don't want you to lob off the head of some ponce. But essentially, as far as I know, she's some distant relative to the Empress. Some have even said she hasn't actually got the Coldwind name officially. She's just sort of loosely wormed her way in there. From my knowledge, she is very full of herself. But maybe if you cater to that, you might get somewhere. The party is being held at her manor house. As far as I know, there's a series of levels. Servants go in and out somewhere. There will be guards, so you'll have to be careful. I suspect there'll be places you won't be able to go. So, again, discretion is advised. I have 2 invitations here. He opens a drawer and whips 2 of them out. That's all I've been able to get. It's been hard enough for me already. I've had to bribe, you know, a lot of money to try and get these. So 2 of yous are going to be able to go in from the front entrance. I'm afraid the other 2 are going to have to find another way in.
Just give them to the toughs.
I think we know who that'll be.
Yeah.
You can't go wearing that. God, do you have any other clothes, for goodness sake?
No.
What's the point? There's plenty of wear left in this jacket. What am I going to take it off for?
Yes, there's plenty of whale left in it as well.
Yeah, Glutter puts them down on the table and slides them forward and says, whoever has them, however you use them, you know, just use your brains.
I grab both. Well, you are.
The other 2 are going to find another way in.
Yeah.
I would also advise that maybe you, and he looks at Barry, and he says, maybe you put on a different set of clothes. I think it might be easier for you to move around there if you're not, no offence, looking like, well, a rat person, really.
You heard him, Gris.
Mate, there's no getting this stink off me.
Well, I'm
You-
sure you'll...
You might stand a note, but I'll do my best. How's that?
Well, that's what I'm paying you for, aren't I? And he slings a bag of 100 gold onto the desk, which is quite a decent bit of money. There's your advance. Come back with information and I'll pay you the rest. Come back with more information and I'll pay you a bit more.
What happens if we come back with even more information?
Come on, let's go.
Well, you are.
Clearly, someone's never negotiated, and Eliza just writes 15% on a card and leaves it on the desk as they leave.
Yeah. Glutter just looks at it and then just lights up a cigar using that card. Puffs on it. And then as you walk out, he's like, do me proud. And make sure you don't find out it's connected to me, yeah?
Alright.
Okay.
Okay. You leave. Right. I will give you a chance to buy things if you wish, or to ask. Well, you don't have any momentum, but you can meet contacts and ask them questions, or you can just go straight to the.
Yeah, I've got a contact called Tibbs, who is a street urchin.
Tibbs, the street urchin.
We've got a neutral relationship, so it's sort of like business-like. We respect each other, but, you know, we're not going to go out of our way. So I'm offering to pay him. I'll sort of rub two gold pieces together. Be like, Tibbs, I'll pay us
Yes,
Coldwind's party happening. I'll pay us Coldwind's Manor.
Oh,
Me-
yes, I've heard all about the town from that. And he's like, looking at the money like,
Servant's entrance. What are we saying?
servant entrance, yes. Now, let me remember. And he's still looking at the money. Let me remember where that was. Oh,
Remember faster, Tibbs. Come on.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that there is indeed a servant's entrance, but it's not where you'd expect it to be. There's some fancy-ass gardens around there, and I think I've heard that there might be a door that goes into the cellar with all that food and wine and cheese and ham. And he goes on a bit longer, just listening.
Types of food.
Yeah.
Tips.
Oh. Yeah. It's been confirmed that there's some sort of servant's entrance.
Nice.
Round the back of the mansion.
Right. I flipped the 2 coins to him. And I'd
He scrambles on the floor.
see you later, Tibbs. I want to go buy a pair of gardening shears and some work gloves.
Okay.
Yeah, can I buy some overalls
Hang on.
that a repairman might wear?
So I don't know whether this stuff is like whether there is a equivalent in Dishonored, but we're just gonna say that you can do
Cool.
that. Let's just say they're worth the. So what are you buying?
Gardening shears and a pair of work gloves.
Gardening shears. Okay. Alright, God. Let's say they're 2 silver.
Cool.
What about
Wow, I
you?
overpaid that child.
You did.
Oh well.
What about you, Barry? What do you want?
Yeah, I just want like some workman's overalls, like the kind of thing that you might see a mechanic wear, kind of thing. I think this is the first time I've bought new clothes in the past 2 years.
So, are you guys going to decide who's going to get the invitations?
I think we've already
I
decided.
believe we already have.
So they're going to Eliza and Temperance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I really don't have any money, so my only possession is my sword. so
Well, you
I-
just got paid some money. So...
that's true, yeah. But I'm gonna spit shine my boots and try and like clean my trousers a bit and maybe put on my cleanest shirt. But I'd also like to contact Dean Nielsen.
Dean Nielsen.
My contact. He was my old sergeant in the guard. He taught me to fight, but he's very clumsy, so that's why I have to cheat to win duels.
Okay, so he's an old member of the guard.
Yeah, he's still in the guard.
Okay.
So I just he's neutral towards me, so I'm not going to ask him to like fix anything for me. But I just have a little chat with him.
So where are you meeting him? Describe the situation.
He frequents a pub
Okay.
called I'm going to steal
Fatted
something
Rat?
from Johnny and just say the whale hug.
The whale hug. Okay. You're in the whale hug, right?
Which is the pub that is his favourite, and just
Yeah.
gonna go in there, maybe stand him a drink with some
Okay.
of the small amount of money, and just sort of be like, hey, do you know, chap, so lovely to see you.
Oh,
so
oh, Temperance. What a surprise meeting you here.
my goodness, it's so good to see you. Have you heard anything about a good Englishman like yourself?
Well,
Have you-
yes, English. I don't know what that is, but okay.
Oh yeah. I forgot. I was just wondering. I've been hearing a lot of to do about. I managed to get myself an invite to Harper's Calden's party.
That old bird.
I know, yes, exactly. It's always such a sad thing.
Harper's, Lady Calden, yes.
Yes, but I was just wondering. Do you know?
I've heard a few things about,
I was just wondering. Do you know? It would be lovely to see some of the gang again. You know, the old, not criminal gang, of course, but you know the old guards. You know, So do you know who's working that night? Who's on shift for the guards? Just a
City
list would
Watch?
be lovely.
Yeah, she's she's put a few coins in a few pockets, if you know what I mean, to get those people working for her. So I would say they're not the most honourable type. I believe that they've said some wish-wash about her being an important person who needs guards, but it's certainly not the case. I know that there's a Bernard Bustover working there. He's a slimy one, if I've ever known.
Bernard Bustover. Yes, do you know, I think I might have met him. Yeah, seemed a rum customer, yes.
Yeah, he just definitely likes the rum. not that I would like that, although you notice how red his nose is. And his cheeks.
Oh, Dean, you're always worth such a card. You'll bury us all, I swear.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you do think of anyone else, let me know. It'd be smashing to make. Do you know, I've always wanted to return to the old job. You know I left in a bit. But anyway,
At this
let me
point,
know.
by the way, you see his head just fall against the bar top.
Yes. Oh,
And
well,
he
there we go.
And like
Good.
the
Okay.
bartender is like, the bartender's like, not again. God, this. Yeah.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Sarge. See
Yeah,
you
he's
around.
snoring very loudly. There's a little bit of like liquid dribbling down
Very
his mouth.
good. Bernard Bustover.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So maybe you get the sense that, the guards. The guards, yeah.
Wow.
Mr. Wills, were you going to say something?
No, I was just gonna take my overalls, and I think the plan for me is to pretend to be some kind of repairman and work my
Okay.
way in. Maybe they've got some kind of wall of light that's broken that I need to fix for him or something.
Yeah. Okay, Eliza, are you doing any preparations or?
I think Eliza spends a gold coin on having her hair permed
Oh,
and
very
basically
nice.
just
Yeah, fancy shit.
making herself seem even fancier for the party.
Fancy stuff.
And then she'd like to get in touch with Angie, who's a private investigator,
Angie.
who again consulted on a previous book, and basically would like to inquire to Angie about the layout of the mansion that we're going to be infiltrating and where there might be documents of information or where valuable information might be stashed.
Sorry, who is
knowing
this
that-
person?
Angie, she's a private investigator.
She's a private investigator,
Yes.
and you're asking her for the layout of this mansion.
Yeah.
Angie
Okay.
Lansbury.
I know that she's investigated the Caldwells previously?
The Caldwins.
Caldwin, sorry, previously. Obviously, being a very well-known family, they've had plenty of investigations into them in various ways. And so Angie seems my best bet about just finding out where things might be and saving us some
Okay.
time.
So you're going to go and talk to her. What?
Yes.
Describe this scenario to me.
I think we go to whatever Dunwall's equivalent of a gentrified area is, meet in the Dunwall
Yeah, there's a
equivalent of
noble,
like a Costa
there's a noble
coffee.
quarters. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's I don't know. Yeah.
Any excuse to get out of Pound Street, essentially,
Ye
for
olde posh
Eliza.
coffee house. Yeah, okay. You're sat there in like a greenhouse, and there are like flowers and birds and stuff. And she sat there, and she says, she's like, "Ooh, Eliza, what do you want to know again?"
Well, I'm looking into the Caldwins. I'm attending a party there, and I'm researching for my next book, as you know. And I just hand her another copy of my first book. I've already given 3 or
Oh,
4
my
copies
dear,
to her at various engagements.
Eliza, I've got so many of these.
No, take it. It will be, donated to charity. There'll be people out there. Spread the story. But I just want to find out more about. I'm researching, and sometimes the best research is done not without permission, but it's that extra mile. And so I was wondering where I might be able to find some documents while attending this party. All above table, of course. Absolutely. I'd never engage in any kind of a disreputable
I
behavior.
really wouldn't bother with all this. I know what you're doing. Don't worry. I'm a private investigator. You remember this? I can do things off the book, if you know what I mean.
Well, I'd like you to do it for the book.
Hey!
Yes.
He'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I wouldn't be. I don't think I know the layout of the mansion. I have heard that Harpeus Caldwin, she does like to entertain a few visitors in a certain way. If you get my drift.
I don't.
Wink. Let's just say that when she's done in the entertainment room, she often somehow goes to another room.
You mean like a billiards room?
No, upstairs. Upstairs, my dear. I like that.
An upstairs conservatory.
There's been strange rumours of her ladyship, indulging in certain things, but she's kept it very on the low key. Only us investigators know, but she must be doing that somehow, I would think. So maybe if you're going to the party, you can have a look for something like that. She's got to be doing it somehow. Not in the conventional sense.
I understand. I'll be attending this party. I'll find my way upstairs. I'm sure her ladyship will.
I would think.
Permit me.
Mean, if I was an important noble, I certainly wouldn't keep my documents just lying around where any party goer can find them. But I've also heard she's a little bit on the old, the old. She likes a drink.
Loves a sandwich. Just
She
loves
likes
a
a
sandwich.
sandwich. Yeah. She likes a bit of the old tiffle.
Well, don't we all? She says, kind of warily. I think with this knowledge, can I combine that with my focus in history? I don't know if you want me to roll for this, but to get an idea of where she might mean upstairs.
Okay.
So I guess that might be like study carefully in this case.
Yeah, you can do that. So that
Okay,
would be a 10. So if you roll 10 or under, and your focus is what, history?
Yeah, don't worry about that though. I got
by
an
the way,
8
the
and a 14.
difficulty. What? I said let's say the difficulty is. I'll let you roll again, but because I am giving you the difficulty. I'm gonna say the difficulty is 2.
Okay. Oh wow, so I need 2 successes under 10.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, I rolled double 2s, so that's 2 crits.
That's like 4.
So I got 4
Yeah.
successes. So I got.
That means you get to put 2 in your momentum pool. So
That's
a
for everyone,
momentum for everyone, but like once you take out of it, that takes out the whole pool.
Yeah.
So you have 2 to use between all of you. So momentum in Dishonored is a mechanic where you can spend momentum to allow you to do some special things. So, for example, you can add an extra d20 to your roll, or ask the DM some questions, or perform a truth, which is something we'll get to when it's relevant. So, excellent work. So you have 2 momentum right now. Okay, so you successfully did that. Okay, so using the knowledge that you've gained from Angie, and you've been in a fair few number of noble mansions and pleasure houses and whatever, and that's not okay. I don't know, like houses, fancy people's houses. You know that discretion is of the utmost import. Scandal and gossip is something that can undermine a noble regardless of their connections. So, hearing what Andy told you, you suspect that there is some sort of secret stairway or hidden corridor leading upstairs to the lady's bedroom, where presumably things happen there with her and various other people. It's not uncommon that the nobles will have trysts, but they're generally kept on the down low because we're all very civilized here. But you wonder whether you could get into the right situation where you could find that entrance, that stairway, and it could certainly get you somewhere where it's more likely you're going to find some information that maybe doesn't want to be found. Wink, wink. Does that help?
Yes, that's great. Okay, so I'm looking for some kind of secret passageway of sorts.
You suspect that this is what Andy is talking about, yes.
Cool.
So
I write
Secret
that all down in my
passageway to a secret passageway.
notebook.
Okay. Does anyone want to do anything else?
You're all set.
Just one thing. While we're on the way to the party, Gris has a set of brass knuckles. I'm going to put those on and then put a work glove over.
Okay.
So I'm like, got my shears. I've also got a sturdy sword, but sort of, everyone in Dunwall's got a sword.
Do they make your hands look even bigger?
Yeah.
Like Mickey Mouse hands.
Yeah, one of them in particular is like I'm walking with a slight list because of the weight.
Dunwall characters are definitely if a Warhammer figurine was in real life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of proportion.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so you're going up to the party. It's the night of the party. You're venturing into an area for most of you. You're venturing into an area of Dunwall that you don't usually go to, simply because you're riffraff. And
excuse you.
well, some of you used to not be riffraff, but now you're riffraff. So usually if you're going through this area, people are going to give you funny looks. And you are still getting some funny looks, some of you, unless you're deciding not to go altogether. Are you going as one group?
We probably split up, right?
Split into
Okay,
our pairs,
suspicious
right?
to be with the low lives.
Help.
Okay, yeah, so let's say Eliza and Temperance are going in their own group, and you've dressed up well enough for it. You're basically being fairly ignored, although there's a few eyes and a few titters, but that's the noble folk for you.
As we go through, can I to Temperance just say, I know gossip about them and I know gossip about them, and just point out people and just all the rumours I know about the
Listen, who doesn't know gossip about him?
Meow.